Hello everybody, welcome to Builder by Behind the Scenes. My name is Gil Boyd. We're going to do something kind of unusual. We're looking for a table that we can use for product presentations and demonstrations. Now, as a videographer and a photographer, be prepared to utilize what you've got or find what you can use that might be something used in an unusual way. For example, we need a table. So we found this at Costco. It's the Costco Whalen brand Workbench, 48 inches long. Counter height, I believe it is bar height. Counter height for kitchen cabinets is 36 inches. Bar height is usually 42 inches. And I believe this comes up to 37 inches tall. So not bad. It'll do what we need. It'll get things high enough up so while we're talking and we're standing next to our Film Tools video cart, we'll be able to see what we're talking about without it, having to be on the ground or mounted in a cabinet somewhere. We can get it up in the air. And that's the purpose of this, to either put a printer on, put UPSs on, because we've got several things we're going to be looking at Builder By, as well as Builder By Behind the Scenes. But this Costco Whalen brand Workbench, 48 inches long, is what we're getting ready to look at. As I brought this in, just to note the weight, it takes 2 people to load it. They will load it for you. It'll fit in an SUV with the seats down. I would strongly encourage you, when you get on the other end, that you have a dolly. You're going to need a 2-wheel dolly. That's what I've used to bring it in with. It unloaded pretty easily. They claim it weighs 160 pounds. I don't think so. 160 pounds is 2 bags of concrete. To me, this seems like more than 2 bags of concrete. But now that I've got it in, I'm in a tight space. We have inclement weather outside. Unbox this, set it up, show you how we're going to use it. And what I'm going to do is set it down so we can open the top and see what all we have in it. This is the Whalen Industrial and Metal Workbench. It's got the black wrought iron finish with the stained wood veneer top. Okay, so we've got it down right side up. There's a picture on the front. I don't know how well it shows up. Start getting this box opened up. It's very well packaged, even though the box has some dings on it. What I have read about from other users that have assembled this, there have been 4 items that people were concerned about. 1, parts that were bent. 2, parts that were misaligned, not drilled correctly. 3, a part C. I'm not sure what that is. We'll find out. That's not lined up correctly. And number 4, some users complained about the wire basket in the bottom. For us and for what we're going to do, if I don't use the wire, I'll probably put a wood bottom, dado some 2x4s and put in there for a wooden slat bottom. But we'll see when we get to that point. Let's get it out and get it set up. Now I want to be careful opening this because this has these big staples in the top. And those big staples will bite into skin. Been there, done that. And at the price, we think this is bang for the buck, not only for a workbench for inside or outside, but also to have what we're going to use for product demonstrations to sit heavy items on. So there's a fair amount of staples and a fair amount of glue in this box, and it is well packaged. And from what I've read, any damage that occurred would have had to have occurred in the factory. Okay, we get the 4 flaps off. Cardboard in the top comes out. This folded down. And there's a piece of paper for instructions. See how well that shows up on camera. So you get an idea. Packet of instructions we're getting ready to take a look at. Kind of reminds me of the old director's set. We can see what the parts are, and I'm going to take a look at this. So part B is a side. Part C is also a side. That's a crucial part. Page 1, we'll go to page 2. Talks about the load capacity of 300 pounds. Parts list. And looking at the bench from the front, part B is the left side. Part C is the right side. Part C is the part people have talked about that may be bent. Okay, those are tied down with a zip tie. I used to work at Parker Music. One of my jobs at Parker Music was taking boxes apart. So I've had quite a few run-ins with these big staples. That was a long time ago and I digress. Parker Music is long gone. Good people though. Okay, so we're going to set the instructions aside for just a moment because we need to take inventory of parts. And I'm going to need to cut this tie. Too bad too, but it's got to go. So we cut that zip tie and we'll start pulling some parts out, pulling some cardboard loose. And I don't know if there's any way to tell which is left and which is right because the sides are fully assembled. So this should be a fairly simple bolt-on procedure. So I'll set that side apart. There's a box of fasteners. We'll take a look at those. And we've got nuts, bolts, washers, lock washers, and some very large lock washers. And a little touch-up pin, which is a good idea for any dings that might occur on the wood or the metal as well. Sharpie pen will serve the same purpose. Here's some other fasteners. This looks like some kind of a guy wire for something. So we'll set all that aside for the moment. So to work this project, I can tell it's going to take some wrenches. I've got some wrenches set aside. I'll tell you what's used for this when I get to it. Don't know if it's metric or SAE. Another hardware pack. My guess wheels are probably in there. We'll find out in a minute. So I'm going to set those aside. There's another set right there. And as far as the schematic on page 3, page 2 shows what the unit is built up to look like. Page 3 shows a blow-up of what the unit will be with all the parts. And then we'll go to page 4, and that's where the assembly should start. Okay, page 4 is a parts list. Shows the top with the shelf. Shows the left side, the right side. Shows the long brackets to assemble the two sides together. Look like end brackets of some type. That may be for the drawer. The wire that goes in the bottom, the two regular wheels, and then the two locking wheels. Lock washers, bolts, lock washers, nuts, some large lock washers, the pin, and then that special locking cable, whatever that does. So tools required, not included, and they show one crescent wrench. Now I could put this together with an impact wrench, but I don't know what grade bolts they are and with the noise it'd make in here, so I'm just going to use a regular socket wrench. But I do have that at my disposal. And it shows assembling the unit upside down, which I've read about. So what we're going to need to do is get this box loose and get this thing where we can get it upside down and then start working on it. Then it'll start making a whole lot more sense. Lots of packing. And here's the other side. And another strap. I'll have to cut that zip tie strap. Well packaged and well wrapped. This is probably for the sides for the drawer. That's what it kind of looks like. We'll find out when we get to it. So I'm going to set those aside. These two pieces. Got them unwrapped. Here's the other side. Well, these sides are heavy. This is heavy duty. I'm still not quite sure how to tell which one is which, because left to right they look the same, unless I was going to say one side has some holes in it, but those are where they spot welded. I'm not real sure yet how to tell left to right. So the next piece to come out is going to be the wire that goes in the bottom. We won't need that for quite a while, so that piece, we'll take that and set that aside. Well wrapped, all the corners. Now we get to the pieces that go on the side that bolt the two ends together. These are almost like bed rails. That's what they remind me of. Everything's well protected, well wrapped. It's got a nice metal finish on it. And they're both labeled D, so it shouldn't matter which one's which. I don't remember seeing any kind of labels on the end pieces. So I'll take these two rails and set them aside for the moment. Now if anything has to be re-drilled, no sweat. If anything is bent, I can fix that, no sweat. I don't see any bent parts. And I had read, I believe some had said part C was bent. This one looks in good shape. So we're going to keep going. Lots of cardboard, very well packed. Made in China, of course. Seems like everything is. And that's the heaviest part to get out yet, and that's the top. So I think what I'm going to do is break these sides down and just work from this, because yeah, it's already upside down. So what I'm going to do is leave it as it showed right side up, because it's in the box upside down. So I'm going to break these sides out so I can work with that cardboard underneath me. There's plenty of packing on the corners, so I don't have to worry about hitting any of the metal parts. And I can slice that down. And that'll fall away. Bag of desiccant. So we'll get over here on the other side, knock these two sides down. I would strongly recommend this be done outside to build, but inclement weather, we improvise. This works. You do what you have to. Still got some staples here. Those sides feel like they weigh about 20 pounds a piece. Okay, so we're going to see if we can get this over here a little closer. And I need to get this end cut away, if at all possible, so that I can work. Okay, one piece of cardboard cut away. And that's the piece of cardboard with the picture on it. You can get an idea what it's going to look like when we're finished. It's got a drawer on the front side. And the orientation for left, right, of course, being the front where the drawer is at. And they also show orientation from the front with the locking wheels on the right side. I'm sure you can put them on the left if you want, but we'll keep it like they've got it. Keep it simple. Okay, once I cut the side off, that cardboard inside just falls right away pretty easy. And the drawer happens to be facing us, which is nice, so we know that's the front. So when we flip this around, this is the left side, this over here is the right side. So let's see if we can get the rest of this cardboard cut away on this end panel. It's a honeycomb cardboard packing they've got all around it. Boy, that's stout. For the weight it has to be. Now we just need to get the back out of the way, because there's going to come a point when we build this upside down we're going to need to flip it up. So we're going to need a little more space. Let's see if we can get around here and get this cut loose. Remember, it comes from Costco. You see something at Costco you like, you better get it while you're there, because here today, gone tomorrow. The nice thing about Costco is if it doesn't meet your needs or if there's anything wrong with it, take it back. Start over. Okay, that takes care of the back. So we've got all four sides off. We still are resting on the carton of the bottom, and this is the way it ships with it upside down, which is perfect for building. So we know that's the front, so all we have to figure out is the left and the right, if there's some kind of orientation. And because the orientation for the front, oh, and now I see what we're looking at. You see this particular picture right here. Because it's upside down, you notice the two brackets on the side, on the right side, and the two brackets on the front on the left side. There are no brackets on the rear. This bracket in the middle is where that shelf's going to go. And that's what's going to attach. So that way you know the left and right. This has to be left because of that middle bracket. This has to be right because of that middle bracket. This is part B. This is C. Part C, which is the right bracket, is the one that's been off, out of alignment. So I'm going to double check them before I go any further and make sure the two are equal. And I'm holding the two parts together and they line up. They line up front and back, and the front where the brackets are is perfect. So all I got to do is get the parts out, nuts and bolts, and put it together. Simple enough. So I'll turn that upside down, since I've got them right side up right now. Front of that's a little scuffed. Oh, I see. There's a B on the bottom. Since I've been looking at the top of these, I never saw the bottoms. B is on the bottom, and C is on the bottom. It's easy to tell that C goes on this side, and B goes on this other side. So all we got to do is bolt this on. Those two pieces are bolted together. There's a lip. So what we have to do is straddle this. Well, that's pretty simple. Reading about this, everybody made this sound complicated. That's interesting. Okay, so we're going to get our nuts and bolts out. So on each side on the front we'll have, and those nuts are welded on. And these are starred in back. So all I have to do is break the seal for the fasteners to get them out. And these nuts have a washer head built onto them. But I would expect we'd probably use a lock washer. So I'm going to double check that. Please wait until all steps are completed before fully tightening the bolts. Absolutely. So we're just going to loosely assemble it. Now those large lock washers go on the bottom for the wheels, and all these other bolts the cross brace that goes on the back at the bottom and front. On the back, the cross braces that go on the front and back at the bottom. So that will be 3 on each side. That would be 12. So what I want to get an idea of how many fasteners we're working with, how many lock washers we've got, because that'll tell us where they're going to go. Decided I needed more lock washers. I got plenty of lock washers. Not with a pretty black finish like these. Let's see what we got. 3, 6, 9, 12. Oh, we got a baker's dozen. That tells us where those washers are going to go. So these side pieces don't use any washers. That's what I want to find out. Now that I know that, I'll go ahead and get started. So the question is what size wrench you're going to need. I don't like the idea of using just an opening and crescent wrench. I like something a little bit closer to what actually goes on there. Always keep a set of wrenches handy. My guess that would probably be, yep, 14. 14 fits it. So 14 would be 9/16. But these are metric. So I'm using a gear wrench. So all I got to do is get these in. One to the top. Might be a good idea to put some Loctite on these, but we're going to get this dry assembled. So the legs attach to the top with 1 bolt each. On the rear, and 2 bolts on the front, because we're dealing with this shelf down here. So we're going to get 1 bolt in here. And 1 bolt in here. We're just putting these in loose until we get a fit. And you'll want to watch those bolts because some of them have burrs on them. I just got one. I'll save that for someplace less conspicuous since this is going to be on the front. No burrs. So all we're going to do is just put these in loosely by hand. Now we'll get the other side done. What I call a snug fit. Put a fit. 1 bolt to the rear. I'm using the socket without the wrench on it. Gives me just a little bit more grip so I can feel my way to get that nut started. And then 2 to the front down over this shelf. 2 to the front, 1 below. My guess is it looks like the hardest part of this is going to be flipping it up. We'll see. And that one is a little bit tight, so it may need a thread chaser, but let's see if we can get it in there. So we only had one that was too little tight. Now that that's in, yeah, that's a whole lot looser now. Okay, just need a little help. But the threads were fine. We could chase the threads. So all the bolts are in the right places. Everything is lined up. Nothing's bent. So those that had that problem, that's unfortunate. We didn't have that problem, but I was glad to know about it, and I appreciate the folks that wrote about it. So we have those parts on. Now we need to get these braces that go above. And these are going to be a little bit more work because I'm going to be holding these up in the air while I get them bolted on. And like I said, they're kind of like bed rails. And you can see where the brackets are. Let me get the 2 of them. One is labeled D. Excuse me, they're both labeled D. One's going to go on that side. One's going to go on this side. So you've got 1, 2, 3 fasteners that are going in this. 1, 2, 3. You got 1 dummy and this other dummy. This is welded in. That's welded in. So 3 fasteners. 2 with the crossbar holding it in on each end. And this triangle, of course, gives you lateral support. So I've got to find the other parts I'm going to need, which will be the bolts, the lock washers, get the nuts out. So what we want to do is see if we can position this. It goes just the opposite of what I thought it did. Pretty simple, just follow the bolt pattern. putting the one on the back first. That can rest on that until I can get a lock washer and a nut on one of them to hold on to it. And again, we're putting these nuts and bolts and lock washers in loosely. There'll be 3 of each on each side, all 4 corners. Loose assembly. So when you have a situation like this, we're using nuts, washers with the bolts. You're going to need 2 wrenches, not just one. That'd be really difficult to do with just 1 wrench. 1, 2, and 3. And that one nut that had a burr, that looks like dried paint. Use that to the back. That one bolt that had a burr on it, that's a burr of paint. Okay, those are all just loosely assembled. I've got one more in here. 3. And these nuts are going to require 17 millimeter. So I'm using a 14 millimeter for the bolt and a 17 millimeter for the washer. Okay, now we need to get the brace on the other side. And we've got to work with these shelf parts. With these 2 brackets. And this looks like those are just going to sit right in there. When I move this, these parts are going to kind of disappear on the black surface. I can see them, but you may not be able to, because I'm going to go ahead and see where they show that going. Shows the wire shelf on the bottom. This bracket will go right here. So let me get some bolts out. We've got the nuts out, the rest of the bolts out. A couple there to hold that, and a couple on the other end to hold that. And everything is drilled and orientation is in the correct place. So I'm glad to know about that. So we've got the bolt, we've got the lock washer, and I'm putting on the nut for a loose assembly. And I put an extension on the socket to give me just a little bit more room to get my nimble fingers in there to that nut. Now we'll go to the other end and do the same. Bolt, lock washer, nut, bolt, lock washer, nut. I would strongly encourage putting Loctite on these. Unless you plan on taking this thing apart, I'd probably put some purple on it. Loctite purple. Now I'm not doing that right now, but I can come back and do it later. So we've got the fasteners all in. I'm going to go ahead and get the other stuff out of this piece of cardboard, which would be the large lock washers required for the feet, and then this container of special marker they've included. A furniture pin to do it, or in this case I think a Sharpie would do it for this. My suggestion for the top, as nice as this is, either put a piece of slate or probably soapstone on it. If you want to go with wood, then I'd say either a bamboo countertop or possibly oak, maple, whatever you like. And if you like the dark stain to keep the finish like it is, then of course stain it. But if you keep this top as it is, what I would suggest is putting a coat of polyurethane on it. So it'll have to be cleaned, because I don't know what kind of finish it has on it. And that's a job that'll have to be done outside during good weather, or in the garage if you can minimize the dust, because it takes time to harden up. Okay, so this is all assembled. All we need to do now is get the feet on it and then stand it up. Now the question is, do I want to put the feet on it as it is, or do I want to wait and put the feet on it after I've flipped it? I've done both. Pros and cons. I'm going to see what they suggest. If you put the feet on it, you really need 2 people to flip it. Can be done with 1 person. Please wait until all steps are completed before tightening bolts. Yeah, I got that. Page 6, assembly instructions. Here they show the crossbar going in with the shelf on top, the wire shelf. And those just sit there, which is really odd. Position the cabinet at the desired location against the wall. Now follow the instructions printed on the plastic bag containing the tipping restraint. Ah, that's what that wire is for, tipping restraint. Wow. To attach the over-tip restraints to the unit, follow the instructions as shown in the illustration. Young children can be seriously injured. Yep, well, I don't think that's going to be what we need to do, but that's a nice idea. That's a good thought. This thing is going to be moved around. So this is the only child that's going to be around it. They don't say anything about flipping it. I thought they might have some pointers. I'm always open to suggestions. If someone's got a better idea, I'm interested, but I don't see it. Care and maintenance. Use a soft, clean cloth that will not scratch the surface when dusting. Microcloth would be a good idea. Distributed by Costco. Costco Wholesale. This is the Costco Whalen Workbench, 48 inches long. So I guess we're going to go ahead and put the feet on it and then flip it up. Okay, let's keep going. So these other boxes I thought looked like feet are feet. You build enough stuff, you get used to certain things. I used to build furniture back in the 70s, a long time ago. And I got to tell you, I never built anything like this. Everything I built was wooden furniture. Some of it finished, some of it unfinished. And when people broke furniture, I was the guy that fixed it. And I was good at it. But this is not something that's going to break. And this is not something that's going to have to be fixed. Now this is a nice piece of furniture. It could be used outside, but because it's painted and it's regular steel, this thing will rust. So I wouldn't use it in inclement weather for those reasons. Those are nice heavy-duty wheels. And based on the weight, there's your load restriction of those wheels. So you could put in different wheels and increase your load. If these are 150-pound wheels, then there's a 600-pound load. So I'd say these are probably about 125. They look heavy enough and big enough for it. All we need to do now is take a look at our orientation for how we're going to use this. We're going to take these large lock washers right here. That's going to go right there. We'll put that in. Oh, these also have the Zerks fitting on them, so you can grease them up if you need to. I don't expect to have that much weight, but I could if I need to. Those will just go right down. So to get that in, lock washer. That one made good contact. That one I'm going to do some work with, so I'm going to have a wrench. I don't think I can get a socket in there, so I'm going to need like a mechanic's wrench, a box wrench to reach in there with. And that one's trying to bottom out too, so I'm going to have it for both sides. That went on fairly simple. Get this one on this side. The people that have built this bench that had trouble with it, I think that's unfortunate. We built this bench, everything fit, everything worked, nothing was bent. Even the box was damaged, but I could tell where the mangled part of the box was. That due to the thickness of it, everything was fine. And sure enough, everything looks fine so far to me. I have no idea what the top's going to look like when we flip it over. We're going to find out in a few minutes. I still got to tighten those wheels up. That's not going to accommodate a socket. And I don't think I can get a crescent wrench in there either. Need something with a smaller jaw. Oh, wait a minute. Yep, I got a small crescent wrench here that'll fit. So we can spin that on. Okay, small crescent wrench just fits. So that's the hardest thing I've had, is 1 foot is a little bit cantankerous. To give you an idea, this crescent wrench is 150 millimeter on one side says it's 6" on the other, so if you're looking for a crescent wrench, you need something small to get in there. It'll just fit. Tighten those wheels down. Could have been paint on the threads, could have been a little bit of a spot weld, but once I got past that, I thought I might have to take it out and do a thread chaser. Now that wheel is going on good and easy. Once I get these wheels locked down, then I'll go back and lock all the bolts down. Okay, wheels are on. Now all I need to do is lock the bolts down. We'll be good to go. And so far I've got 2 bolts, 1 lock washer, 1 nut, and 1 large lock washer left over. I'm surprised. And it's interesting having parts left over and everything still works. Good to know. Good to go. Rear is done. Now we'll get the front side all squared away. Now, did I check this for squareness? No, I did not. I'm assembling it as is. Everything looks good and tight, and I expect it to be square once it stands up. Now we'll get the front bolts tightened up. Okay, we've got it assembled, got the feet on it. Now we need to do flip it up, and then we can get the rest of the bottom in it. Now, to reiterate on the tools, let me get something down here where you can get a better look at what we needed for tools. Instructions recommended having a crescent wrench. I specifically used, this is 150 millimeter on one side, and the other side says it's a 6" crescent wrench. It's big enough but small enough that I could use it to get the wheels down. The wheels were the tightest part, and I had to reach up inside on that nut and turn that, twist that in. I had a socket wrench. These are the gear ratchets. I had an extension to make it easier to get to the sockets, and for the nuts I had to use the larger, which was a 17 millimeter, and for the bolts I used the smaller 14 millimeter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items I used, but this is all I needed. Cut the cardboard away, assemble it, tighten the wheels down with the crescent wrench. I'm ready to flip it over. I can put the crossbars in the bottom and get the wire basket in. So now we're going to flip it, see how that goes. So there you have it, a workbench. Got one scratch in the top, which is probably what I did while I was trying to move it around. That's a 2-person job. I did it myself. It's all about leverage. One other thing I'll add is a pair of gloves. It's always a good idea to have a pair of gloves to protect your hands. Blemish on top. I'll take this little pin to it, a little felt tip. Buff that right out. You can kind of see from the reflection where it's had the waffle cardboard on it. But I could probably take some furniture cleaner to that, or maybe some Murphy soap, clean this up, let it dry, and then go over that little scratch again. But it's not bad considering. This is the Costco Whalen 48-inch workbench. Little piece of tape on the front to keep the latch from opening it up. Drawers already assembled and ready to go. Pack of desiccant. There's a hole on this left side where you can run a cable out, and a hole on the right side also in this compartment where you can run a cable out. So whatever kind of devices you might have sitting here, power, whatever, there's a hole cut out for it. All we got to do now is put the bottom in it. I'm not too wild about that. So there you have it. We have the unboxing and setup of the Costco Whalen 48-inch workbench. And next time you see this, we'll probably have a sheet on it, maybe a yellow sheet or something for contrast against the blue, with something heavy up on it. So this is one of those things behind the scenes. It's kind of unusual, but again, you make use of what you've got, and when you're looking for something to do unusual things, then you've got to sometimes think out of the box. We're going to use this as a demo table. So whenever we're doing product shots and we need to set a printer, or we need to set something heavy like a UPS up, which we're going to be doing some of in the coming days, keep watching on Builder Buy for that, and keep watching on Builder Buy Behind the Scenes, which is what this is for. Hope you enjoyed this. My name is Gil Boyd. Thanks for watching Builder Buy Behind the Scenes, and we appreciate your support. A thumbs up would be appreciated, and if you want to know some more about stuff like this, leave us a question, a comment, and we'd appreciate if you'd subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future.